In my previous video essay, we discussed how military leaders in times of war have to make tough and often paradoxical decisions. The topic of this video, however, will be a little bit less nuanced, as we will be looking at the differences between military commanders seeking ambition versus upholding their duty. I will be using a Star Trek episode for the basis of today's discussion. So now that I have the attention of all the nerds, let us begin. I will start with providing a brief overview of the episode in question for those unfamiliar with the show. If you are already familiar with the episode or just want to hear the analysis part, then skip to the next chapter. I'll put the timestamps in the description below. The episode in question is Season 6, Episode 22 of Star Trek Deep Space Nine, Valiant. There is currently an interstellar war occurring between two major factions, the Federation, who are the good guys, and the Dominion, who are the bad guys. The story follows two main characters, Ensign Nog, who is a Starfleet officer, Starfleet being the operational arm of the Federation, and Jake Sisko, who is a war reporter. The both of them are on a diplomatic mission for the Federation when they are attacked by a squadron of Dominion warships. Their small shuttle is no match for their assailants, and they quickly find themselves in deep trouble. However, they are saved in the nick of time by a Federation starship called the USS Valiant. With their shuttle losing life support, they are transported on board the Valiant, where they discover the starship is being manned by an elite group of Starfleet cadets called Red Squad. Upon further investigation, they learn that there are no actual Starfleet officers on board, as they have all been killed in action several months prior. The previous captain of the Valiant had issued battlefield commissions to several of the cadets before dying, thus preserving some form of the chain of command on board. Now, I don't know much about real-life military procedures, and I'm not sure what the full lore behind the Star Trek procedures are, but I'm just going to go with it for the sake of this video. Essentially, there are a bunch of kids in charge of a starship with their own chain of command, comprised of cadets with battlefield commissions. We are introduced to Captain Waters, the cadet that was issued the first commission on the ship, and is currently in command of the Valiant. He explains the events that transpired that led to the cadets taking over the ship to Ensign Nog and Jake, and also explains that they are currently on an intelligence mission behind enemy lines. They are looking for a new Dominion battleship and need to obtain technical readouts of it for Starfleet Command. Ensign Nog, who throughout the series has tried his best to be a part of Red Squad, jumps at the chance offered to him to join the crew and finish the mission. Jake Sisko, who is not a member of Starfleet, just tags along, but his inquisitive nature leads him to start asking questions around, and soon he finds out that the crew of cadets are dangerously close to having a complete nervous breakdown, and that their captain doesn't quite seem to have his head screwed on properly. Jake is soon confined to the brig to avoid upsetting crew morale. Valiant manages to find the mission objective and obtain the information they need. However, Captain Waters decides that instead of going home after several months of being behind enemy lines, that they should attempt to destroy the Dominion battleship using the information they have gathered by exploiting a weakness in the ship's design. It should be noted that the Valiant is no match for the Dominion battleship in direct combat. This makes this entire mission very risky. The cadets decide to follow their leader on this suicidal mission, and they basically all get killed save for the main characters, Ensign Nog, Jake Sisko, and one of the cadets from the crew. So now we get to the main crux of the discussion. The normal interpretation of the episode by most folks is one of ego. The Starfleet cadets in question have been told throughout their entire time at the Academy that they were the best of the best. They were given special treatment, special assignments, and training, and thought that they could do anything. Captain Waters, being the very young man that he was, drank the Kool-Aid more than most, which ultimately led them to their eventual deaths. Now, this is where I disagree slightly with the mainstream interpretation. Yes, the cadets were way in over their heads, but I believe the main problem really lies in their leader, Captain Waters, who at any time during the mission could have turned back home, but doesn't, because he is ambitious. And I mean ambitious in the really bad sort of way, like Caesar, Brutus type ambitious. We the viewers see and hear in several scenes that the story conveyed by Waters doesn't actually quite match up. First of all, it is very unlikely that all the real officers on board would have been killed in a single engagement, but I'll go with it this time. We also don't see or hear from other members of the crew how Waters actually gained his battlefield commission, which leads me to speculate that maybe we don't know the full story behind what actually transpired prior to the passing of the previous captain. I find it hard to believe that someone would order a group of cadets, no matter how elite, to carry out a sustained mission behind enemy lines for so long. This brings me to the next point of their mission parameters. Waters first explains that the reason they are behind enemy lines is because when the war started, they were out on the frontier conducting training, and that when the Dominion started their offensive, they were left behind enemy lines. He then slightly contradicts this story by saying that they have a mission to find this new Dominion battleship and get the technical readouts of it. Now, we don't know what the real timeline of events are here, but it doesn't quite add up. I seriously doubt Starfleet would have ordered a starship manned mainly by cadets to conduct such a dangerous mission during a time of war. I also highly doubt that they would have sent this ship in particular after we find out halfway throughout the episode that they have been suffering engine troubles, which prevents them from even catching up with their target. It is only after Ensign Nog joins the crew that he is able to fix the engines for them, enabling them to catch up with the Dominion battleship in the first place. The final piece of this puzzle that got me thinking about this was when Waters gives his final speech convincing the crew to attempt their suicidal attack mission. It only then dawned on me that this guy is a sociopath. Now, this video essay series is focused on command and leadership, so the analysis here is centered mainly around Captain Waters. Captain Waters throughout the episode is portrayed as a good leader, delegates command and authority to those who deserve it. He keeps his crew well focused on their objectives and gives them direction. We see that he is a capable combat commander, as at the beginning of the episode they managed to destroy a Dominion warship whilst rescuing Ensign Nog and Jake Sisko. He has the unquestionable loyalty of all those under his command right up until the very end. It is this sort of cult-like aura which gives the episode its very grim overtone. To the casual observer, there doesn't seem to be anything fundamentally wrong with Captain Waters, but to the experienced eye, we can start to see the cracks in his persona. Jake Sisko is the main protagonist in the episode, as he is the one who tries to convince Nog that this is all a mistake. Waters and the rest of the crew silence Jake, often citing that since he is a civilian and not a member of Starfleet, that he doesn't know what he is talking about.
I can't believe you're buying everything that Waters is selling.
He's not selling anything. He's reminding us of our duty.
I feel like I'm having a conversation with one of the bulkheads.
You don't understand because you've never put on one of these uniforms. You don't know anything about sacrifice or honor or duty or any other things that make up a soldier's life. I'm part of something larger than myself. All you care about is you.
To longtime viewers of the show, however, we know that Jake actually knows more about what is going on. Jake has taken part in his fair share of battles throughout the series, and his dad, Captain Sisko, one of the main characters of the whole show, is one of the best combat officers in Starfleet. Jake knows trouble when he sees it. Captain Waters cites multiple times concepts like duty to convince his crew to follow him throughout their journey and to take on the suicidal mission. It is this faith put in him by the crew, based on this facade created by his own ego, that makes this whole situation very disturbing. On the outside, it looks like he is a good leader, but in reality, he is just a master manipulator. The contradictions in Waters' story of events, combined with his ultimate insane suicidal mission, leads me to believe that he really is only in it for himself. The overall ideas of duty and respect Waters portrays are no more than tools for him to achieve his own ambitions, with little regard to the well-being of his crew, and most definitely not in the pursuit of some morally just cause. Funnily enough, there is another Star Trek episode which tackles these exact same themes, but we'll discuss that another time. There is without a doubt a time and place for people to go above and beyond the call of duty because it is the right thing to do. There are many instances where military commanders who have earned the trust of those under their command go and attempt missions with very low odds of success or survival because it was the right thing to do at the time. But this example most definitely was not one of them, and it should serve as a reminder to us all, whether we ourselves be in places of high command or subordinates in the chain of command, to be wary of characters such as Waters. Not all people who do the right things deserve our unwavering respect and loyalty. Identifying the true marks of people like Waters requires constant vigilance and experience, but must be done to safeguard the integrity and security of the organizations and units that we are a part of.